Welcome to this midweek edition of the Chiefs, and with us are Ana Marie Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, Miss Lucy Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5.
Right.
Ami's not yet here. And Robbie Alampay will be online in a few minutes. Lucy, happy weekend. Oh, I'm
Hi.
sorry, happy
Yeah,
midweek.
happy hump day.
Oh, yeah, it's a hump day. We're midway through
Actually, it's
the weekend.
almost
That's a good
over.
thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we're waiting for
So
our two co-hosts, but I suppose we can bring in our guest now.
yes, we should.
Yeah, let's bring in our guest already. Our guest for tonight, he will take up the whole time slot of the chief for tonight because he is the chief of the PNP, General Police Lieutenant General Camilo Cascolan, the head of the Philippine National Police. General Cascolan, thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening,
Yes, Ed, yes, Ed, Lucci, and Ami. Magandang gabi po sa inyong tatlo. To Rowie. Yes, Rowie is also there. Good evening also.
Magandang gabi po. Kasama po natin si Ana Marie
Good
Pamintuan ng
evening
Philippine
po.
Star and si Robbie Alampay ng One News. Tama-tama pagpasok ng dalawang ito.
Oo nga.
Yep.
General, ano po? Well, first of all, congratulations. Medyo belated nga ng konti on your appointment noong September 2. Pero at the same time, in a month and 8 days, you will be retiring already. In effect, you'll be serving as PNP chief for 2 months more or less. Kayo po, sa inyong pananaw, how much can you do in 2 months?
Well, you know, Ed, no, I just didn't work for 2 months. I've been here for more than 34 years already. And I've had a lot of plans. I had a lot of strategies that has been done and has been adopted after the fight by the Philippine National Police. One thing that I would say is that those strategies have actually been adopted and is now being used. One is the enhanced management rules operations, and of course the anti-drug campaign. All I really need to do right now is sustain these initiatives, these innovations, so that we would be able to come up with a much more improved PNP organization.
Mhm. Well, sir, let me rephrase the question then. How much can you do as PNP chief in those 2 months that you are the PNP chief? Of course, we do recognize that you have been in the service for 3 decades already, more than 3 decades, and you are one of the if not the primary author of Antokang, which is the key policy initiative of the president of President Duterte. So, ano po sa tingin ninyo?
Well, number one, the president's three directives are this. One is rid of corruption, rid the PNP of corruption. Number two, rid the illegal drug problem. And the third one is to follow the rule of law at the same time, no violation of human rights. Basically, I have made the 9-point sustained development plan. It is a strategic thrust actually that would be able to cope up with the issues and challenges of the Philippine National Police. If you would look at it, it's just sustaining the development of the Philippine National Police organization based actually on all the issues and challenges. One, decongestion or overcrowdedness of all camps, which the solution would be decongestion of camps. We will be removing a lot of operational units inside Camp Crame, which will be the focus of this development plan. At the same time, we talk about facilities development, basically because the problem in our camps is quartering or billeting. That's the main problem of our people, most especially officers coming from the field. Of course, we need also to improve PNPA and NPTI, which I shared the development plan of PNPA and NPTI when I was still the chief of the directorial staff, the number 4 man. At the same time, we have a lot of things to do with regard to IT development, and at the same time, improve our relationship with the AFP with regard to all our activities. The third one would be, of course, as I've said, and I've been telling this to all our people, the delineation of responsibilities between the regional offices, the Directorate for Integrated Police Officers, which mainly focuses now, the focus unit now for anti-insurgency, and the anti-terrorism unit, which will be led by no other than the intelligence group, together with the specialized staff. These are the 4 ones. And of course, we will sustain much more on recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection of PNP applicants which I also forced when I was the chief directorial staff. The fourth one will be reorganization and restructuring of the PNP organization, which I really was working on sustaining that reorg and restructuring done by our predecessor. Restructuring of the PNP organization, have more generals, have more officers, so that we would be able to emplace our officers and men at the right positions and at the right job. There still are a lot. One is, of course, enhancing work performance. How would you be able to work? How would you be able to sustain that performance that we have right now in the PNP? Of course, boosting the morale and welfare of our people. And a part of it will be, of course, the healthcare program. There's still a lot. There's still what you call the bayanihan, of which it focuses also on the community service oriented policing. That's what we call the barangayan. Here we try to cooperate and coordinate with our barangay officials together with the local government units and the community so that we would be able to come up with 100% work performance. And last but not the least, maybe would be we will continue on with our patrol plan 2030, which is basically now, as we adopt it now, we are now adopting the patrol plan 2030 and beyond as the strategy, holistic strategy of the Philippine National Police. That's the 9-point strategy thrust, actually, Edno and Luchi, Ami, and Roby. And all we really have to do right now is to sustain what we have been doing long before. That is my thrust, and I hope that this will be a legacy that will be continued by the soon to be the incoming chief PNP.
General, it's interesting that you mentioned na the directives of the president include human rights and the drug war, apart from corruption, of course. You think being the one of the architects of Oplan Tokhang, you think this is actually possible to reconcile the respect for human rights with the well what your police officers have described really as an asymmetrical warfare, no? You think this is possible given the environment that you are operating in? Saka yung problema in dealing with this problem, the president has already told us na hirap na hirap daw sila because you have a suspect, you believe is a major drug trafficker, pero hindi naman sila mahuli-huli kasi hindi naman nagtatago daw yan ng mga maraming drug sa bahay. Pag inaresto mo daw yan, you can't even book them for possession kasi wala naman daw hawak. I mean, given this kind of environment, you think pwede ba talaga that police will uphold human rights while carrying out the war on drugs in our country?
Yes, of course, Ami. Um, let me first state what the double barrel really means. Number one, the lower barrel is actually based on the concept and the framework of then General Bato de la Rosa, our chief PNP, now senator. Oplan Tokhang is actually a PCR activity, a police community relations activity that means tok tok hanyo, tokhang. I plead to you to give up and surrender and never to go back again to the illegal drug activities. That's what tokhang really means. And what we do is we still monitor you, but at the same time help you out and support you. Number two, the second barrel is what you call the Oakland high value target. The Oakland high value target are case build up actually. These are building up cases against anti illegal drug personalities, wherein you will be able to have a lot of witnesses and evidence and come up with search warrants and warrants of arrest. In so doing, we come up with a linked network. Linked networks were all actually shown by our good president even before. And this is where we will base right now the connection or the networks of these personalities. Um, we are actually offering to the double barrel. But the question will be the implementation. Likewise, the implementation would be following the rule of law. We will implement this drug war in cognizance with the non-tolerance of violation of human rights. We will never tolerate violation of human rights, and we will always follow the rule of law. As the main strategies of the double barrel, we saw to it that this implementing plan does not violate the rule of law, nor does it even violate the human rights.
General, notwithstanding the original vision and the original design of Oplan Tokhang, you mentioned your predecessor, former PNP chief, now Senator Bato de la Rosa. We asked him, if you had to do all over again, kung pwede niyong ulitin ang Tokhang, what would you change? And he said, well, I realize now dapat pala inuna natin yung paglinis sa police. I want to ask you first, do you agree with that perspective? And second, if you had to come to do all over again, what would you change?
Well, yes, basically 101% I agree with what Senator De La Rosa said. Internal cleansing. I would like to convey that in 2017, I came out with we came out with Senator De La Rosa, the enhanced managing police operations, of which number one is law enforcement activities. Under law enforcement activities are the anti-criminality programs and strategies. Second is crime investigation and solution. One and two are the external activities of law enforcement in PNP. The number three of part one is internal cleansing, and that was then defined in the enhanced managing police operation for number one. It is a combined external and internal cleansing of the internal cleansing of the organization, external cleansing of the community. That is why when we were doing this, Senator De La Rosa said to me, "This is the internal cleansing will be basically be part of the implementation of our double barrel. We need to vet all our people. We need to know who they are. We need to monitor them and supervise. And those are the things that we really need to do." And basically, what Senator De La Rosa was saying was following the rule of law. That's why internal cleansing on the part of the Philippine National Police is very, very important.
One of the observations has been that there has only been so far one conviction of policemen involved in the Tokang, in particular in the murder of Kian de los Santos. What has happened to so many other policemen who also have been dragged into human rights violation cases, in particular Tokang operations that led to deaths of suspected drug users and pushers? Where are we on that in terms of your internal cleansing efforts?
Luchi, what you're talking about are criminal cases.
Yes.
There are a lot of administrative cases that we have filed, and IAS is actually studying. We have a lot of cases under our DLOD, or our law and order division. What we are looking on are actually criminal activities. It may just be one, but I'm not so sure. The Korean case, the Korean case here, there are a lot of criminal cases filed against our people, and we always evaluate each case. Actually, all cases have one folder. All arrests have one folder each. At the moment, we are actually cooperating with the DOJ and the PCOO, the Communications Office, so that we would be able to evaluate all cases done before. We want to cleanse our organization, and in one way or another, there will be a lot of help coming from DOJ and PCOO. This time around, it's not just admin cases, but we have to file criminal cases.
Sir, your predecessor, your predecessor, si General Bato de la Rosa, and even the president, have always had very, very strong words against human rights groups, and even the concept of human rights. I'd like to ask you po, kayo, as a new PNP chief, what is your, how do you view human rights, and how do you view human rights groups? Do you also see them as adversaries? Do you see them as kasi when you listen to the president, when he talks about human rights groups and human rights issues, even during the SONA, he's very combative. Kayo po.
Well, you know what? I once had in my interview. Once you arrest a police criminal, a criminal police, you arrest him, put him in jail. Okay. What I'm trying to say here is, criminals in the police service are co-equal to the criminals outside of this organization. I want to make out a point, because when the human rights basically condemn the police for what they've done immediately, we are already guilty in the eyes of the people. That's what we do not want. That's what the president doesn't want. That's what Senator De La Rosa doesn't want. And that's what I do not want too. I do not want to condemn people even without evidence at all. That's number one. Gusto lang namin sana patas ang laro. Okay? They fight, how do you call this? They protect criminals. For us, we do not protect criminals. Even in our organization, we cleanse them, we arrest them, we put them in jail. That's what we do. And we hope that it would be the same for us when the human rights advocates would do. We would want to have a fair share of what you call justice. That's all we really want.
Yes, sir. We understand, sir.
General,
Sir,
if you don't
one
mind,
of the
first I wanted to
statement when you say
clarify
that
lang po yung...
human rights protects criminals. Isn't that a dangerous statement to make?
Well, I'm not saying that they are protecting criminals. What I'm saying is that they tend to say that these criminals are not are innocent, but when you come to policemen, they say that we are already guilty. Tingnan niyo yung mga nahuhuli ko minsan ng mga NPAs, kuminsan they even decide these people where in fact they have a lot of cases already, murder, homicide, etc. Eh yung police po ginagawa lang po yung trabaho. Di ho ba? Nagkamali lang ng...
But General, if you don't mind, I think what a lot of human rights groups are saying is that everybody should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You say that you want to be treated fairly in the eyes of the public, but what human rights groups are basically saying is that citizens should be treated fairly. They look at the drug war and they see people not only getting arrested but getting killed without ever seeing a court, in some cases not knowing what the charges are. It's one thing to argue for equal and fair treatment in public statements and so on. It's another thing for human rights groups to say, yes, but we're talking about the court, we're talking about the legal system, we're talking about rule of law. I'm just a bit confused, as if you're equating the propaganda war that you see ongoing versus the rule of law that human rights groups are trying to emphasize should be applied to all.
What I'm saying, Ed, is this. I want to be clear. First of all, we want to be treated fairly. Fairly, if, as I've said, you catch a policeman who is doing criminal activities, arrest him, put him in jail. Just like, just like us, we are also community. It's not because we're PNP, we're not community, right? We are all community here. We are all members of the community. What we want is that at least protect us also from all the fun, from all the weaknesses of the people that tends to say that we are already guilty. Sana naman, bigyan po naman kami ng right po na maging innocent. Kasi napapansin nyo, kung minsan magkamali pa ang police, sasabihin po nila kaagad, mali talaga ang police. So they tend to side with the suspect who may have been killed. But sometimes we do not know what really happened in the incident. Ang atin lang po, sabi ko nga sa inyo, everybody should be treated fairly. We treat criminals, whether they be policemen or civilians, the same way as criminals. We treat those who are innocent as innocent people, and we will always protect the poor and the weak. That's all we really want. But what we sometimes see is that alam niyo, to be frank with you, I was an activist even before, and I know what's right or wrong. I have also compared it, but there are a lot of imperfections in this world. But basically, yun lang po. Gusto lang namin matreat fairly. Fairly.
No, but if I could further clarify, what we're hearing is that you say in the court of public opinion, you want to be treated fairly. In media, you want to be treated fairly. And I completely agree. I think we completely agree. Everybody deserves to be treated fairly. Media should be more responsible. Citizens should be more circumspect before they post anything. Let's all have an open mind. That's all well and good. But the difference, sir, is that when you are condemned, criticized, even unfairly in the court of public opinion, your liberty is not necessarily at risk. Your life is not necessarily in peril. Ang pinaglalaban po ng mga human rights groups is that not in the court of public opinion, but in our legal system, in our fight for rule of law. Pagka dito may nagkamali, pagka ang pulis nagkamali or nanguna o nang abuso and disregards rule of law, and we're not talking about opinion, we're talking about lives, we're talking about liberty.
Yes, rest assured, Ed, that we will never tolerate the violation of human rights or the violation of the rule of law. Rest assured of that. We are here to serve and protect the community that we are serving.
And yet, General, there are thousands who have died already. I think we asked this also of General Batono when he was our guest. Tinanong namin, is violence inevitable in the war on drugs and even in general law enforcement? Under our circumstances, is it inevitable?
Well, if people fight it out, if suspects fight it out against policemen, we could not do otherwise but to survive. We need to survive too, right? Ang amin lang po, at this moment, we have a lot of evaluation of cases. Some cases that would be evaluated not just by the PNP, but also by PIDEA, by DOJ and the PCOO.
Actually, General, ang pinag-uusapan yung mga tokhang, tsaka yung mga kung sino bang guilty, yung drug pusher ba or suspect o yung police. Kasi nga sir, medyo kasigas na yung word na nanlaban. Lagi na lang pag may napapatay, ang defense ay nanlaban. At nagkaroon na tuloy ng pagdududa dun sa word na nanlaban. Ano po? Matanong ko lang po, ang naging solusyon nun ay bigyan ng mga body cam, yung mga pulis. Dapat samahan ng media, ng mga witness tuwing may operation. Where are we on that? Are you actually doing that? Do we have the body cams to prove that in tokhang operations, talagang nanlaban ba o hindi? Alam niyo yun, where are we exactly on that? Kasi hindi na nasundan.
Yes, Luchi. I was then the director for operations when I signed the protocol on the maintenance and use of body cameras. So it started all from us, from the director for operations in 2016. Second is we are now on the verge of the delivery of the body cams. According to our logistics officer, it will soon come. I just don't know, but I'm not yet so privy on when the body cameras will be delivered. But thirdly, this will be part of all operations henceforth. I have directed all my operating units to use that body cam so that everybody would be able to know what happened in that law enforcement activity. Rest assured that your leadership in the Philippine National Police shall follow what the President said, the rule of law, and no violations. We will never tolerate violations of human rights. That is why a lot are being taken care of right now. As I've said, there are a lot of evaluation of previous cases long before. If you would be able to see reports right now, you would see not just people who were killed in an operation, but were also arrested together with those who were killed. If you want evidence, if you want those witnesses to tell you, then there are live people who have been arrested during the operation.
Hanggang ngayon kasi sir, may discrepancy pa lang. It's such a big discrepancy between the figures of human rights groups, figure pegged at 27,000 actually, and the figure submitted by the PNP, which is at about 5,500, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think accounts for this huge discrepancy in numbers? And which one does the public really believe? Most people tend to believe that it's somewhere in the middle. Do you agree with that?
Well, you know what, Luchi? I've been with DO. I've been with real numbers. I've been with a lot of the IACAD, or the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, and I believe that all those cases needs evaluation. The 27,000 that they are saying actually is not true. This includes already all other cases of death which are not actually causes of illegal drug operations, anti-illegal drug operations. Ang nangyari po dito, sinama po nila lahat. And I can attest to that because we've been using those data, we've been comparing a lot of things, we've been evaluating, analyzing, at the same time reviewing doubly and three times all these cases. Where are the anti-illegal drug cases? That's where we are able to evaluate and analyze. That's where data came in.
General, speaking of data, I agree with you. I've spoken to some researchers, and they say that's true. One of the problems in trying to reconciling the data is one data set is very big because ay nga, gaya po ng sinasabi niyo, pwedeng sinasama lahat ng namatay, kay operation yan or hindi yan operation. Pero on the other side, they're saying the numbers of government and the police are very small because yung definition nyo naman po ng legitimate yung namatay, yung talagang kinakount natin as deaths in the course of the war on drugs. Yung definition nyo naman daw po is napakakitid naman. They're saying in certain incidences, for example, collateral damage in the course even of a legitimate police operation is not necessarily counted. Inihiwala yung count, it doesn't go there, it falls under death, under investigation. Pero ihiwalay pa yon doon sa i-acknowledge doon sa 5,500 subset na i-account na ito, legitimate to kasi official police operation to. That if you were to widen it a bit and to include the definition, for example, of deaths in the hands of policemen na hindi necessarily official operation, again, hindi na naman daw counted yon. Are you open to widening the definition? And as Lucy said, maybe that will bring us to a more reasonable middle ground to have a better picture of the deaths that are attributable to the war on drugs.
Of course, Ed, we will always be open for any recommendation and comment with regard to that definition. But I would want to state a lot of things. One is that sometimes there are a lot of arrests of which, let's say, for example, robbers, they rob banks, and then accordingly, when they are actually investigated, comes out they are drug related because they have been into drugs. Yun po, hindi po talaga namin sinasama because these are different kinds of activities. But whatever recommendation you will tell us, we will evaluate. Let's evaluate at the same time, sir. We can have a technical working group or focus group discussion so that we would be able to analyze more, review, and evaluate those cases. Let me tell you, Edno, we have been maintaining case folders of all cases. And that is a requirement to all regional directors and even anti-drug units. And with this, as I've said, there are evaluations. We are cooperating with PIDEA, with PCOO, and DOJ with regard to these cases.
Well, General, we will just pause for a break po. So if it's okay with you, please stay with us. We will just go into a gap. Thank you po.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yung kinakausap ko kanina, si Roby pala yun.
back to Chiefs. We are still with the new PNP Chief, Police Lieutenant General Camilo Cascolan. General Cascolan, kanina po pinag-uusapan natin, sabi niyo, you want everything to be fair, especially not just in terms of our law enforcement, not just in the judicial system, but even in the realm of public opinion, in the news and commentary. Pero ngayon po, over the past 24 hours, Facebook said that they have taken down a number of accounts, some from China, but also some from the Philippines. And they're saying that among these accounts are accounts that they can clearly link to the Philippine National Police. They are accusing these sites or these pages and these accounts on Facebook, including Instagram, of showing fake content as well as instigating red tagging, among other things. I don't know if you've had time to look into this, sir, but your reaction to Facebook's announcement linking Philippine National Police Facebook accounts to these very troubling content.
First of all, Roby, I'm so sorry. I was calling you Ed a while back. I'm so sorry for that.
Okay lang po. Okay lang po.
Hindi ko na makakuan eh. Anyway, Roby, we will never tolerate this. This is actually under investigation right now by the Anti-Cybercrime Group of the Philippine National Police, and we will punish those who are supposed to be punished. There are also fake accounts with regard to this. I hope you would be able to understand. We will come up with the investigation, and we will give you the feedback.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. But sir, lilinawin ko lang po before, linawin ko lang po, this is not new. I think the big news today was that Facebook na ang nagsabi na kaya nilang i-link to. Sila na ang nagsabi that based on the behavior, the data, they looked at as high-tech as they can get in analyzing the behavior of these pages. And they're very confident in saying we can tie this to the National Police, if not at least members of the National Police. Anyway, the point you're trying to make lang po is it's good that you're reacting this way and saying you're launching an investigation after Facebook came out with this announcement. The reality, sir, is sinasabi na to for more than a year, for more than months, more than 2 years already. People were already flagging content from the National Police. Bakit ngayon lang po?
Well, it's the first time that I've been asked also, Roby, no? But rest assured that during my leadership, we will always follow the rule of law, and we will coordinate with Facebook with regard to this. Actually, we had a meeting a while back this morning together with the Chief of Staff AFP, SND, SILG, NICA, and the NSA. Pinag-usapan na rin po namin ito. General Gapay will actually have a meeting with Facebook. With what you said, I will direct the ACG to cooperate and coordinate with Facebook with regard to these accounts.
General, related to this, are you in favor of proposals for law enforcers to be able to monitor social media?
Exactly.
I want to relate this to the counterterrorism law.
Yeah.
And yun ang sinasabing excuse na you want to monitor all these threats, especially terrorism. Are you in favor of this? And do you believe that there are certain civil liberties that people have to give up or to be prepared to relax in the name of public safety?
Well, Ami, when you talk about public safety, you're talking about public messages. You're not talking about private messages already. The only thing that we would be investigating will be those that are posted publicly and those that goes viral. We will never snoop in anybody's Facebook or pasensya na po kayo, I don't have Facebook. But I will never snoop. We have actually directed our people not to snoop in other people's private Facebooks. Ang amin lang po,
meaning po, you will monitor yung public posts.
Yes.
You
Only
will
public and that was made viral. That was viral.
Okay.
Yun lang po. Yes.
So okay sa
And,
inyo.
well, of course, you don't need to give up your civil liberties. We will never snoop po. Please, we assure the public that we are not snoopers here. We are investigators, and we will investigate properly.
Sir, I'm
Yes,
curious,
but
does
when
the PNP have the capability to look into private posts? I mean, of course, the PNP can or has the capability to tap conversations or phone conversations with the court warrant. But I'm wondering if you also have the capability to snoop into private messages on Facebook and social media.
I don't believe that. Not unless maybe the technology, we don't have that kind of technology. And I believe that we need the help of the, what's this, the telecommunications and the IT experts if we do that. That's why na-hack po sila kasi sila po yung experts eh. Diba? Nang-hack po sila. Kami ho, hindi po namin kaya. The PNP has been hacked for so many times po.
Okay, but General, let's assume na ang nakikita nyo lang po yung public and gaya nga po ng sinabi nyo, it goes viral. So it's hard to avoid it anyway. You're going to see that. But so never mind. It's not, you're not looking into the private post. But do the public post, I mean, to what end? What exactly are you looking for? And what exactly is going to be the problem when you see a public post, and let's assume it went viral, what exactly will you be monitoring the content for?
Well, actually, this issue started with the monitoring of protocol violators of the anti-COVID protocols. Yun po yung kwan. Amin lang po is so that we would be able to know, we would be able to at least help out in the deterrence or the prevention of the infection. Yun lang po ang amin talaga. Yung mga iba, nagdi-display ho sila, nagsasayahan sila, nagiinuman sila, magkakatabi sila, wala silang maskara. Yun po yung mga tinitingnan namin kung if it went viral and if it was a public post. Okay? If ever these things happen, we investigate. Hindi ho namin basta-basta inaaresto. At binibigay pa nga ho namin yung ibang mga kaso sa mga barangay para sila na po ang mag-correct.
Yes, sir, but there have been some instances in the past, sir. There have been some instances in the past where security forces went after people with social media posts that they perceived to be libelous. For example, hindi lang yung hinuli ng NBI up north. Even in the Caraga region, there was I understand a PNP colonel who arrested somebody for posting allegedly libelous remarks about Senator Bongo without a complaint from the senator.
Well, I'm not privy to that, Ed. No, I will see what I can do with that.
Kumusta na po yung preparations niya since you mentioned the quarantine protocols already? And mukhang by the end of the month, mukhang mag-GCQ ng Metro Manila at marami nang mas dumadagdag na yung movement. Hindi ba overwhelmed ang PNP ngayon? Kumusta yung deployment ninyo for all of these preparations for the easing of quarantines?
Ami, we're actually deploying a lot of people. My directive is actually to be visible so that at least we will be seen by the public. And the deployment of our PNP is good. We do not exhaust much of our people because they have to change guards too. But we will do everything possible, most especially that November 1 is nearing. Basta kami ho, we go out. I named it as a barangay enforcement team when I was still the chairman of the admin support for COVID task force. We also had the barangay enforcement teams actually cooperated with barangay officials in roaming around, patrolling the barangay, and preventing, observing protocol for all the people. At the same time, we also had marshals. I have to in place marshals in buses, jeeps, and even in terminals so that we would be able to prevent also the violations of social distancing and the non-use of masks and face shields. At the same time, we have what we call the red team that would be able to check and monitor our PNP. Hindi lang ho yung mga kabalian nila tinitingnan din po natin ang mga kalagayan ng ating mga kapulisan. Tulad po ng pagtitingin ng ating mga barangay enforcement teams, which we now call BACOD or Barangay COVID Defense. Ito po yung depensa natin sa kada barangay para at least po matuto yung mga tao, mabigyan po sila ng tamang protocol at mapaalala sa kanila ang karapat-dapat na ginagawa sa mga aktibidades po nila. Nagkakaroon lang po ng violation maybe if there are what you call mass
Mass gatherings.
mass gatherings.
Ano niyo doon? Anong protocol niyo sa mass gatherings? Kasi parang iba-iba eh. Hindi siya consistent, no? Minsan,
Ganun pa-
napakaraming tao, wala namang inaaresto. Minsan, ang liit-liit, biglang inaaresto. Ano ba talaga yung protocol doon?
Well,
Are they supposed to be arrested in the first place?
ano yun?
Are they supposed to be arrested in the first place?
Pardon me again, Ami?
Are they supposed to be arrested in the first place? Kasi merong mga taong inaaresto, merong hindi. Merong dinadala lang sa istasyon, sinisermonan, merong hindi. Ano ba naman anong protocol ba doon?
Meron ho yung mga first offenders na sumusunod naman po sa protocol pag pinagsabihan, hindi po yan inaaresto. Yung mga matitigas ang ulo, pero pagdating po sa barangay, kumalma na ho sila, pinapabayaan na lang po yan sa barangay. Yung mga recidivists lang po tinatawag natin na ayaw talaga pong sumunod at nakita po na dati na nagbabiolate po ng ating mga anti-COVID protocols, ang inaaresto namin at kinakasuhan.
Okay. Sir, if I may, sir, if I may, sir, balikan ko lang po yung social media issue kasi I'd like to get some sort of a policy statement or a position ng PNP on when to step in pag somebody in the public does something on social media. The example I was giving you kanina happened nung May. You can read it in the Inquirer. A 41-year-old man was arrested in Agusan del Norte for a Facebook post criticizing the President and Senator Bongo. Tinawag niyang buang. Ang nang-aresto sa kanya si Caraga Police Director General Joselito Esquivel. Arrested Reynaldo Orculio, a salesman in a city town, for allegedly libelous statements on Facebook for calling the president buang. So, yun po. I just bring that up para as a matter of just to clarify things lang exactly ano yung position natin when it comes to the PNP and social media behavior of people.
Well, Ed, it doesn't mean to say that because you're a public official, you can be insulted anytime. But what I'm trying to say what I would want to say right now is that the complaint does not need to come from the one who was bashed. Actually, it may be complaints from organizations and other local chief executives, or even maybe from private individuals. All comments and opinions actually of individual personnel does not reflect the opinion of our organization. We disown any unofficial and unauthorized and uncalled for comments against individuals. No? Ang sa amin po, we will investigate all cases, most especially if there are complaints. Sa tingin ko, hindi naman ho basta-basta nag-react po yung RD Pro 13 na si General Esquivel. Wala pong complaint. For sure, there is a complaint. For sure, there was an investigation. And for sure, if he was filed a case, the fiscal knows that there is a probable cause.
Pero
But sir, linawin ko lang po yung
libel,
sinasabi niyo because sa libel, malinaw po. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of legal experts and it's very basic for them. That's not true. Sa libel, it has to be the injured party that files a complaint. Nobody else can take that initiative on behalf of somebody else. And that leads to a question of if your interpretation of it and your position is that anybody can take a complaint, na kahit hindi sila yung injured party, this opens really a can of worms. This brings us back to our original questions of will your leadership and the national police understand, appreciate, and respect human rights, free expression, and so on, including in social media?
Of course, Robbie. We are committed to that. We never violate. We will never tolerate violation of human rights. We will follow the rule of law. What I'm just trying to say is this: take for example, people who were actually bullied and been treated unfairly or pinagsusuntok siya, hindi naman ho siya makapag-complain. Siyempre may magsasabi pong ibang tao niyan, di ba? Na binugbog si ganito, Di ba? Kaya nga po nagkakaroon ng investigasyon. We do
Yeah,
not
pero
just
iba po yun sa libel.
Yeah.
Yeah, po. Iba po yun sa libel. Meron talaga tayong mga batas against assault, meron talaga tayong mga batas against physical harm.
Pero libel, hindi ho pwede. Dapat yung...
Yes. Yes. Anyway, with regard to libel, gaya nga ho ng sinabi ko, Lucy and Roby, everything is being investigated before we file cases. Usually, hindi naman po, akala po nila arrest yung ginagawa, pero yung pala invitation to the office to explain further what really happened. And when you have probable cause, they file the cases. Ganun lang ho naman ang ginagawa ng kapulisan. If there will be violations with regard to that, please let us know, call me freely, and we will investigate and give proper sanctions, administrative sanctions to our people.
General, matanong ko nga lang, ano nga po ba ang administrative sanctions against members of the PNP who post what Facebook calls inauthentic behavior, coordinated inauthentic behavior posts? Yung halatang-halatang agenda at fake. Meron po ba kayong na-sanction, na-memohan, or nasita? I'm sure, kasi nga, marami yan even among the ranks of policemen.
Well, marami po yan. Pag nagkamali ka po dyan, there's what you call gross neglect of duty. Sometimes you go to the extent of saying something that's not supposed to be said in media. That's not good. That's why I told you, we will treat the civilians fairly as together with the Philippine National Police members. Kung ano po ang kasalanan ng ating kapulisan, ganun po ang kasalanan ng civilian at kailangan po sila ipreso agad, we arrest them and put them in jail and file cases also. We will treat everybody fairly here. Of course, when you talk about irregularity, that's different. It's not a criminal activity. Yung lang po ang amin. Irregularity is not following procedures, violation of protocol, etc. po. Yun po yung irregularities.
General, tanong ko lang yung reorganization ng PNP. Tuloy na ba yung paglipat kay General Sinas at si General Dan na magiging NCRPO? Are we expecting that by October?
Well, what I would want to tell you, Ami, it's either we basically the transfer of people is basically a part of the life or part of the career of every PNP officer. Sa amin po is when you go up and when you are relieved, you are actually being evaluated. Either you go up, you go to a lateral position, so that at least you would be occupying sensitive positions that would be very, very helpful in the organization.
So matutuloy po yung movement na yan. Kasi medyo malaking command yung NCRPO eh. Matutuloy si General Danao sa NCRPO?
Hindi pa po natin alam kung sino po amin. At the same time, kung matutuloy man...
Kayo nagbanggit kay General Danao.
Hindi po. Binanggit po sa akin na kung si General Danao ay isa po sa mga pinipili na papalit. Ang silagot ko po ay oo. Yan po ang tama doon.
At maraming sources, General yung Star eh. Yung Philippine Star, maraming tenga yan.
Opo. I will not question your sources po. But sa amin po, we always evaluate our people, place as much as possible, place them at the right position, and at least they will be very, very helpful in the organization. Yun po ang sa amin.
Ito ba yung investigation ng case of General Sinas on his manyanita? Is it still ongoing? Is there any investigation going on?
Well, I'm not privy to that, Ami. I'm so sorry. I have no report on that. Since then, alam niyo naman ho, we always move forward. No? Kung ano man kamalian nila, we give it to the Internal Affairs Service for them to investigate.
Sir, baka pwede mong ikwento yung nangyari sa Dolomite, yung mga bumisita sa Manila, na nauwi pa sa pagtanggal sa pwesto tuloy.
Sa Manila Bay Sands.
Commander.
Sa Ermita, yung Ermita. Ano ba nangyari nga ron at nagkagulo-gulo at nasira nga yung protocol, nawala ng social distancing?
You know what, Luchi? Whenever you have an activity, you should be able to initiate already innovations that would be very, very helpful in this case, in the prevention of COVID-19 infection. In this case, medyo may konti lang po ng lapse ang ating station commander. Hindi niya po na-control ang crowd. Because if you are only in a small size of station, sana ho ang humingi po siya ng tulong sa taas para ma-augment po siya ng mga personnel. In this case, he thought that there would be not much people, and nangyari po, bumagsa po yung tao, hindi po nasunod yung ating mga protocol doon sa White Beach ng Manila Bay. Yun po yung sabi niyo po.
Kasi naman nagtawag ng media.
General,
So, talagang hindi pa nakipag-upload yung go ahead.
Exactly. That's my question also, General. It's one thing for an individual policeman or even a team of policemen to say, hindi namin ito. But we also expect that there was a lot of coordination. This date was already flagged by officials more than a month ahead. Sinasabi, yung SANS na yan, nandyan yan, tamang-tama para sa linggong yan. And so on. So I'm wondering, what was the briefing and what was the expectation from Manila City Hall, for example? Anong sinabi nila sa police? Asahan nyo na ganito karami ang darating. What did they say? That the police was caught flat-footed?
Well, in the Ruby, that case, I'm not privy to what they actually met for. I don't know if they had conferences or even meetings. Ang amin lang po, for the Philippine National Police, we will discipline our people if we see lapses. And that is what we call command responsibility. Yan lang po ang sa amin. Ang amin po is, let this be a lesson to everybody, na hindi ibig sabihin po na walang kasalanan ang police, ay wala na po talagang kasalanan. Meron po kaming tinatawag po kasi na command responsibility.
Okay. General, speaking of command responsibility, gusto ko lang balikan po yung tanong about your investigation into the social media accounts na binlock ng Facebook. Now, you said you have launched an investigation into this, but then people will look into this and say, syempre, police mag-iimbestiga sa police. So, are you open to having independent investigations? Are you open to having a third party, maybe from the private sector, part of this investigation? Or for that matter, are you open to letting the NBI investigate this precisely to also look into command responsibility? Let's not presume that these were just individual policemen overzealous in their Facebook posts. People want to know, are these in fact initiatives of the national police? How independent can an investigation be kung police din ang mag-iimbestiga dito?
Yes, of course, Roby. We are open to anybody who would want to investigate. But I would want to convey to you, the Internal Affairs Service is actually an independent body that investigates all cases of policemen violating the rule of law and at the same time committing irregularities. Postings in Facebook which are unethical are actually conduct unbecoming of a personnel or of a person. Yan po yung mga kaso na pwede natin kaso yan. Now, if NBI would want to investigate, we are open to that. But we will also investigate our people so that we would be able to give them the admin sanctions that they really need. And whatever happens with that, we will, of course, give that to Internal Affairs Service.
General, isa na lang. Kasi merong mga questions about your tenure. One of the shortest, probably the shortest in the PNP, no? Merong mga proposal, matagal na to, na bigyan ng fixed tenure yung PNP chief. Siyempre, well, I want to ask your opinion about it. Kung lumalakad ba yung proposal na yan within the PNP?
Well, I'm not privy to it. I haven't heard about it anymore ever since. I think I heard about that 2 to 3 years ago.
Yes.
But let me just say that the Office of the Chief PNP is actually an office of public trust and confidence. That would depend actually always with the president.
General, before we let you go, may iba lang ng konti. Na-curious ako dun sa second name ninyo, yung Pancratius. Saan ho kayo pinangalan?
Well, it's named after Saint Pancratius, who doesn't want to give up his Christianity. He's a Roman. He's a Roman. Doesn't want to give his Christianity. That's why
He was
his head was
beheaded.
cut off. Yeah, his head was cut
He
off.
was beheaded.
And I would like to invite you actually at my chapel at Paco, Manila. It's Saint
Ah.
Pancratius.
What do you
there's a
mean your chapel? What do you mean your chapel?
No, I'm saying just saying because it's named Saint Pancratius Ami, and that's why.
Yung pangalan, kala ko kayo.
No po. There's a chapel in Paco, Manila. Paco Park. Actually, Paco Park.
Paco Park. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes po. It's named Saint Pancratius po.
beautiful
Yes.
place siya.
Akala
Napakaganda.
namin parang kayong si Congressman Benny Abante na may sariling may sariling.
Meron, kala ko ganun eh.
Pero sir, your name is Greek. That means the one that holds everything.
Greek. Yes, I'm sorry. It's Greek pala. He's Greek. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Si PNP Chief General Camilo Pancratius Pascua Cascolan. Sir, thank you for joining us tonight.
Salamat, sir.
Maraming
Thank you.
salamat po.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Lucy and Amin Roby. I hope to be with you soon again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po. I think we're going overtime, so I think we have to go before they boot us out. So
Yes.
that will be all for this special edition of the Chiefs. We hope all the discussion will keep the conversation going. I'm Edwin Gao, One News.
I'm Ami Paminton of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News.